If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Hey, CEO and brand mischief makers. You know me, MKJ. I get to introduce you to another incredible human, Zac Hansen. Zac, how you doing today?
It's been a great day so far. How about yourself, Mary? Great to be here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm only in the middle of the afternoon, so I got a few hours left of this kind of fun, and it totally is. I hate stopping, to be honest. It really hurts to stop and have to make dinner because I love what I do so much. But so tell everyone what you do. Tell who might be in the audience who don't quite know you yet. Who's Zac and what the heck does he do?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Zac. If you don't know me, I run a coaching business called Effortless Scale. And what we actually do is help online educators, online course creators, and coaches scale their business using micro offers. And this is something that I'm just extremely passionate about because online education for me has absolutely changed my life. I mean, back with like our original kind of taste of my online education world was years ago when I joined Bot Academy and met Mary. So just to show kind of the profound impact that has, my mission is just to really empower online educators with the tools they need to scale their business. Yeah,
that says it all. But the thing that it doesn't say is all the messy stuff in between, right? And that's what I want to get to today, because that stuff is the messy stuff. And most of that messy stuff stops us from continuing. So to go from starting Bot Academy years ago to now helping coaches and course creators scale and just making a huge impact. What was the mindset shift? I mean, there were many along the way, I guarantee, but what was that? So let me ask you the first mindset shift. Start with that. So you're taking Bot Academy, you're learning bots, you're having fun, thinking agency stuff and all that. And then what was the shift? And it really feels like a shift, right? That you had to take first.
Absolutely. I think, honestly, back in the day when I had this vision of being, quitting my job, being a digital nomad, because my wife was moving to France at the time. And I think I was actually really blessed with this experience because it made me realize that it's a lot harder than, just reading a book and trying to do some stuff. And so one of the things that I really actually struggled with when I was going through and building bots and kind of the first year or two, I'd say, into my entrepreneurial journey was like getting clients and making this an actual sustainable business. And I can still remember like living in Mexico with my now girlfriend, now wife at the time, spending, I think, like $700 a month on rent and just feeling like so poor because it was just a constant daily grind. And I think the core, like the big change I've learned is that really the importance of patience, I would say. And the one thing I have realized is that if you continue through the crap times and you keep moving forward towards that ultimate goal and what your mission is, and you really keep realigning with what you're doing and why you're doing it, everything will work out, because either you'll have a mistake, also known as a failure, and you'll pivot, or you'll have a little bit of green and light and say, okay, keep doing this. And so for me, I transitioned from bots to running Facebook ads and learning about copywriting because the clientele I was working with at the time, they all needed help with growth. And the thing I love bots, but the fact was they weren't really a lead gen tool. They were more of a customer, like, growing your back end and getting more sales from that. And so I quickly started learning about Facebook ads and copywriting and just immersing myself in the online marketing world. And I loved it. And it really wasn't until I started working with coaches that, I had a referral pop up and referred me to my first one, that I'm like, this is what I was meant to do, to really help these people scale and grow. So I would say the core thing for me, though, that big shift was patience, and realizing that if you are patient and you even just say, my goal is here and I'm going to, doesn't matter what your situation is, whether you're working full time or you are working on your business and there's some big scary thing you need to do, it's way better just to literally do 15 or 20 minutes of that thing every single day, whether that's making cold calls or emails, whatever that is, and be patient about the process, knowing it will come, rather than trying to brute force it, which is what I was doing before.
Isn't that crazy? Yes. That's kind of brings up the hashtag that I use all the time in my posts. And we use this in Bot Academy now. It's basically trust it works. Trust it works until it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then that's a huge hint that you need to move somewhere else or just shift it. And sometimes just a little shift is all it's necessary, and not huge and do something completely different. Because like you stayed in this same world, you stayed in this online communication marketing world, you just shifted a bit. And then the next time you needed to, you just shift it again. But I love your comment, patience. It's true. I did this the first 14 years in business. I would just oh, this isn't working right away. Must not be good. Let's go switch over to this thing. Don't do that.
Amen. Amen. And that was a big thing, is I was constantly opportunity switching. And if I just literally, I look at what you did, and I look at Stephen Braden as well, who is someone I connected with through Bot Academy and a really incredible entrepreneur. And I just look at the people that were really successful, and they just chose one area, and just through the hard times, they stuck with it. And I think my dopamine fueled brain was just saying jump to the next shiny object. And there's no shiny object. That's the real thing, is that it looks pretty on the outside, but yeah.
Yeah. And, we could even say that all objects are shiny. So really none of them are any shinier than the others. So just pick one.
It's true.
And go with it.
It's true.
Yeah. And wow. Okay. So, but that's still, thank you for that, because I agree with you. That's a major shift, is to be patient and to stop switching. It's very hard. Very, very hard. So what about the next one though? Because once you do that and you start, like you said, getting some green and seeing some light, what's the next mindset though that will allow you to stick with that and actually maximize it so that you can scale? That had to be another mindset shift, to go from I'm a freelancer doing this Facebook ad gig or this lead gen gig to now really helping coaches scale. What was that mindset shift?
I would say the big mindset shift, because to be honest, and if you're a freelancer, it's really easy in a sense, because you can just go work for companies, and everyone needs help with something. And so for me, that transition from freelancer to offer owner, where now I'm building my own coaching program and really working with people one-on-one rather than being in the trenches and doing it. I actually, the way I look at that is to make sure I don't have that shiny object syndrome, is just to commit something for a year. And so for context, when I first kind of started learning and building these micro offers, I decided that, and launching this coaching program, what I decided was that I'm not switching anything for a year. I will stick this out. There's other people telling me that this can be an extremely successful business that are way smarter than I am. And so I'm like, why should I listen to any self-doubt of myself? Right. And so I'd say the core way that I'm able to do that is just setting an intention and saying whatever pops up, it doesn't matter. And it's the same thing with, just to take a different point of view. It's like, I have a bunch of friends that are doing extremely well with crypto, and I just don't pay attention to any of that stuff, because, there's people out there that are doing great, but my focus is just on this one thing for this year, and everything else just kind of goes to the wayside. And so when you get really laser focused in on that, it makes your life so much easier and so much stress-free, because you wake up every day knowing what you need to do to get to that end goal. And that's made a huge impact for me.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because what happens as we go. So let's say through that year. So are you saying that you focus on something, you have patience with it, it starts paying off, and then you make the intention that for the next year, I'm going to do this? Because if it hasn't started paying off yet, sometime during that year, you might need to make some switches and changes and things like that. So kind of take me through that process.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And so I would say just to backtrack, maybe since I started working with coaches, like what I've done for them has dramatically shifted. And so I kind of got my start because I got referred to a coach who's literally been my client for 3+ years now. And it's been a lot of fun working with him. And that all started because he came to me saying, hey, I want more clients. And so that led me down the road of building a specific type of sales funnel for these people and running ads to it to fill up their calendar with phone calls. And that was working good in the sense that it was filling up their calendar with calls. But then I realized a lot of these people, they may want more clients, but they don't really want to fill their calendar with phone calls all the time. Right. Unless they have a sales team and they're like really going, it's a different thing. Right. And so what really kind of happened is I always look for that like hint of validation before I decide for something. So if it's something that I'm testing, I'll say it's like a 3-month window and I'm like, okay, I've got this quarter, let's validate this. Let's see if it could work. Right. But once I've already validated something and I'm like seeing things in motions and you have a flywheel that starts to turn a little bit, then I know, okay, let's double down on this and let's make sure that this works. So completely, like you said, you never want to, like if I said, I'm going to get into the newspaper advertising industry because I think there's some huge opportunity there. Give that a month or maybe 3 months at the most. And if you can't get something out of that, then you have to pivot for sure.
Yeah.
But once you have something that starts giving you some signs that there's something there, then that's what you really want to double down on.
Yes. Yes. And here's where your mindset shifts will pay off. So CEO mischief makers listening to this, just take this, hear me out through this process. So if you're just starting out and you're a freelancer, let's say you know a particular tech, you're great at ActiveCampaign, you're great at ManyChat, you're great at MobileMonkey, you're great at Tidio or other website chatbots, or you do great with email automation or web development or app development, whatever it is, whatever your tech is, because that's usually where we start. We have a skill in something and we're a freelancer in it and we're going to start selling our services for it. And now we're looking at, okay, I really want to focus and build a business out of this rather than just a job. If you're still at the job phase, go for it and you love it, keep doing it. If you're ready to switch to actually being a CEO in your business and a business owner, then you have to think differently. And here's the mindset we're talking about. You're going to take that freelance skill you have. Let's just take chatbots that both Zac and I know very well. And we're going to take our chatbots and we're going to focus on chatbots. Well, with Zac, what he found was that, yeah, that was great, but people needed the clients, they didn't need the conversation after they got the client. He found more people that needed the clients to start the conversation with. So then he switched a little bit. He's still in marketing. He's still communicating, switched to more ads and helping people get more clients. Then that had a mindset shift. Then he switched to, you know what? Yeah, I can get them clients, but they don't have a system set up to be able to serve those clients, an automated system. So then he talked about coaches and being able to help them scale in all those different ways in both lead generation and their product and their program that they offer. Am I right so far, Zac?
You're nailing it. And I would say, funny enough, it's always a sequence of events, right? So based on your interests, you navigate. One of a great mentor always taught me, especially when I was like freelancing, was for copywriting specifically. He always said, well, just like the best thing to do is get paid to learn, right? So I naturally gravitated towards coaches and education businesses. But if I was the bot guy and I loved e-commerce stuff and beauty products, like I probably would have just cleaned house, right? Because that is a perfect industry for that. Someone that's already spending a few $100,000 a month on ads and just needs to recover more of those sales, right? And so it's like the direction life kind of pushes you based on those specific circumstances.
And then being open to what is being presented to you and not shying away from the opportunities that you see and realizing to trust your own instincts that, if this is working or if it's not working, more importantly, right? If it's not working, okay, do I have patience to keep doing this? Are there indicators that show me that people need this? Can I stick with it for a month or 3 months or whatever the time frame is that you need to really make sure that this is not just a shiny object and you need to switch to the next shiny object to really make sure that this is a direction you want to go, and then be able to have actual data, not just a gut feeling or a disappointment or anything like that, to actually say whether you need to switch or stick with it. And all those things take your ability to look inside and decide where you need to go next. And if you don't have that yet, if you haven't developed that skill, that's what mentors are for, right?
Exactly. And I would say also, if you're in that getting started phase, like just talk to as many people as possible and just be open to all opportunities, because unless you're consistently kind of hit a really comfortable revenue point that something's validated, and I'd probably say that's like if you're a freelancer, kind of a service provider somewhere above the 10K a month mark, then just talk to everyone and just start doing like the oddest jobs, even at like, you don't want to go too far away from your specialty, right? But like that was how I got started with Facebook ads. Is the client I was building a bot for, she said, "Hey, do you know Facebook ads?" And I said, kinda. and that was really the start of it. And I just said, you know what, I'll figure it out. And I did, and it started working for her, which was amazing. So it's really just being open to the opportunity, exactly like you said.
And then here's the difference between those two scenarios. So Zach's mindset was, yeah, I'll figure it out, and I want to do that. My mindset, when a client came to me with the exact same request, do you do Facebook ads? My mindset was, nope, I'm staying in my lane. I only do bots. And guess where that led me? That led me to only doing bots. And the larger clients that I wanted had to go somewhere else for the ads. And the other place they went for ads also did chatbots. So, hello, am I going to add Facebook ads to my agency, or am I going to stay in bots and stay a freelancer? No, I added Facebook ads to my agency, but guess what? I didn't do it. I hired someone else to do it for my agency, because the reason I said no was because I love bots. I love that whole that whole adventure mindset, right? That branching tree. I love that logic. Facebook ads are like a black box to me. It's just like, how can you make sense of this? It just gives me a headache every time I open Ads Manager.
Okay.
Right. So there's mine. So I hired, it doesn't mean I'm going to not do it. I learned that lesson. I'm going to hire someone that I trust that can come in and do ads for my clients.
Totally. And that's one thing you learn, is the power of leverage, I think, as you grow as a business owner, because oftentimes we kind of start and we're really selfish about our own service and what we do. And if we just literally focus on what the market wants and what the market tells us, we'd move so much faster. And it's so funny. Like I was just critiquing a good friend of mine, his copy today. And one of the things I always see when critiquing people's copy and they kind of talk about themselves is they're like, oh, I need to put like this specific point in here because, that kind of makes me feel a certain way. And it's true. But I'm like, but they don't care. Like, the market doesn't care about this, right? And so it's being less selfish about it. And if you just open yourself to what the market wants and give more to that, you'll fly, absolutely fly. And that's when all your referrals start kicking in and all those things happen, because you're focused on not your selfish gain, but what the market really is after and wants.
And your customers, what your customers are telling you they need.
Exactly. Right. And that's why you said, okay, well, we need to offer Facebook ads. Let's do that. Right. And I don't want to learn about Facebook ads. Okay. Hey, I'll customer X, it's this much. I've got this great person that will come in and do it. Yep.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was all white labeled. They did it through my agency. I managed the relationship. They came into the meetings. Here's the key as well. I would highly recommend, if we want to just get down into the weeds for a second, especially if you're going to white label anyone else's services. I didn't at the time, but I do now. I have an email address that is branded to my agency, and because otherwise it's disparate, it's not organized. You don't look like you are the agency professionally that you are when you have freelancers or other people using their own email addresses, joining Asana or joining Trello with their own email addresses. They are a separate entity. They are now no longer part of your organization. So I have my own email addresses that they have to communicate through my business, even though I'm hiring them to do a job. So that's just kind of a professional tip that I would suggest.
I like that.
But that also takes a mindset, right? That takes a mindset of thinking about your entity as the actual deliverable for your client, not the individual parts.
Amen. Yeah. And that's a really excellent point of having that unified front, because as a client goes in and they see like all these different domain names, they also feel like, oh, they're just like hiring off this service, right? So
Yep.
having that unified front is so key.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that must have been. So, how long did it take you just to kind of solidify this whole mindset thing? Because you've gone through
Yeah.
a journey. It's an amazing journey. So, when you started with chatbots to what you're doing now and actually opening up into this whole coaching and having your own process, your own program, what kind of a time frame are you looking at?
Ooh, I want to say I think it's been about 5 years. I think it's
Yeah.
coming up to year 6, and it's been an absolute hell of a journey. I would say I switched to coaches and focusing more on funnels and working specifically with coaches about 3 years ago. And then everything kind of pivoted when, and I can tell this story is my client, Dan, was the first coaching one. And he had his product sitting on his Kajabi shelf. And I said, hey, you should sell this. You know, it was a self-hypnosis product. It was really good. It was a very simple system. I saw that most of the self-hypnosis stuff out there was these like long 1 hour plus audios. And I'm like, who has time for that? And Dan had this simple like 5-minute self-hypnosis thing. And so we basically just put the funnel together, started running ads, and the thing just took off bigger than I ever thought. To the point where a year later, or less than a year later, we had over almost $500,000 in front end sales. And I think we spent about $298,000 in ads. And it was just because I just saw that there was this opportunity here and took advantage of it. And as soon as that started happening, and I can still remember the day I was visiting my parents and I opened up ClickFunnels and realized that the day before we made like $9,000 in sales and spent $5,000 on ads. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like the fact that we just put $4,000 in his bank account in a single day. And he literally did nothing. Like he doesn't have to talk to clients. He doesn't have to do anything. And then those people, of course, start rapidly like messaging him and saying like, hey, can I work with you one-on-one or join your other programs? And as soon as that happened, I'm like, this is it. This is what I need to focus on. And it was so fun doing that. So the whole journey though was about five plus years, and I'm so grateful for it. So many lessons learned. And I really think that you do just need to throw yourself in the deep end sometimes and just try swimming upstream a little bit. Because when you do that, you'll learn skills and the right mindset to counter everything. Because I think, speaking of mindset, it's really different for everyone. That's why it's really hard. And people, I mean, you look at personal development buyers. I even talk about this in a sales letter. I think it's like 80+% of personal development buyers are repeat buyers, right? And I really think that it's, reading the stuff and going through mindset courses and all that is good, but it's not until you actually like put your foot out into your field and start going that you'll start discovering what works for you on a mindset level. Because me trying to copy what you do for mindset would probably be totally different than what works for me, right?
Yes. And that's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next, because that's what we're going to dive into. But I got to just say,
awesome.
If you were doing that in the last 5 years, and this is where you are now, then I can only imagine where you're going to be in the next 5 years, because mindset shifts actually get faster the more you're open to them and the more you are able to diagnose what's happening and make that shift. And especially the more you work with mentors or coaches, those mindset shifts happen faster. So if these mindset shifts have gotten you this far in 5 years, I can't even imagine where you're going to be in the next 5 years, because you are open to that and you're open to those changes. So, wow. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm beyond excited. And I think the future of online education is so exciting, and it's something that always fires me up. So in order to really influence that though, you're right. Mindset is so key to be able to capitalize on opportunities, take bigger risks, push yourself constantly out of your comfort zone and just keep moving. So appreciate that. I'm very excited too. I think it's going to be a fun decade.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit ceomischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now. and create some CEO mischief of your own.